In a galaxy filled with ancient and powerful species, each bound by tradition, genetics, and rigid cultural codes, humanity stands out as an anomaly. The alien races who have encountered them speak of the humans' alarming adaptability, of the sheer chaos they seem to thrive in, and of a relentless resilience that defies every known precedent. Unlike most species who inherit their traditions and evolve slowly, humans have an astonishing ability to redefine themselves with every generation. This trait alone makes them a nightmare for the galaxy's most seasoned strategists, and the fear of every would-be conqueror. In the years following the failed siege of Sol, stories spread of humanity's resistance as a cautionary tale. Krivar Empire officials, whose near-invincible fleet had been brought to its knees, spoke in reverent, almost fearful tones of the Sol defenders. They recount the scene of their initial arrival, a vast armada descending upon the blue planet, expecting a swift and bloodless victory. What they encountered was anything but orderly. Their disciplined advance was met by civilian resistance, individuals launching attacks from Earth's own infrastructure. To the Krivar, who relied on strict military hierarchies, the idea of civilian mobilization was unthinkable. And yet here were humans, repurposing weather satellites as projectile weapons, using communications satellites to jam Krivar signals, and exploiting every aspect of their own environment. Reports from Krivar captains grew increasingly desperate. They described how humans, with relatively primitive ships and barely serviceable weapons, waged an unyielding guerrilla war. The Krivar were used to an orderly, calculated battlefield. Instead, they found themselves embroiled in a chaotic web of small-scale, unpredictable attacks that seemed to spring from nowhere. A Krivar lieutenant once recounted seeing a human resistance fighter in an ancient aircraft hurl his vessel into a collision with a Krivar cruiser. That act of defiance was both pointless and suicidal by Krivar standards, yet it epitomized the ruthlessness of humanity's resolve. Even under the shadow of near-certain death, humans did not cower. They adapted and they resisted. In the midst of these battles, the Krivar Empire experienced something it had never before faced: fear. Humans were dangerous not because of their technology, which was laughably outdated, nor because of their physical strength, which paled in comparison to the Krivar's own. No, what made humans so formidable was that they simply did not accept defeat. It was as if they harbored an endless reservoir of defiance, a fire that only grew as the situation became more hopeless. Over time, Krivar troops began to whisper among themselves about the human spirit, a term that spread like wildfire across their ranks. It was not something the Krivar understood, but they felt its effects with every skirmish, every strike. The Krivar Empire's failure to conquer Sol led to ripples across the galaxy. For the first time in recent memory, a relatively minor race had withstood the Krivar's might. This anomaly caught the attention of many interstellar powers, some of whom were intrigued, while others were downright terrified. The Kaleri Consortium, an advanced society of traders and diplomats, dispatched an envoy to Earth to study the humans more closely, curious about this phenomenon they called the Will of Sol. The Kaleri, being a technologically advanced race that valued knowledge, sought a diplomatic understanding, hoping to turn humanity's strengths to their advantage. They had heard of humanity's empathy, of their knack for forging alliances, and saw potential for a strategic alliance. They witnessed humans' uncanny ability to integrate with alien societies, adopting languages, customs, and even values that other species took lifetimes to understand. Yet they also discovered that humans never truly lost themselves in these alliances. A Kaleri diplomat described it as a double-edged embrace. Humans would welcome outsiders, but always on their own terms, retaining a fierce loyalty to their home and people. In one incident, a small human-led diplomatic team was tasked with resolving a territorial dispute between two warring factions in the Talrith system. The Talrith were a reclusive species, distrustful of outsiders and hostile toward even minor incursions. No mediator had ever succeeded in brokering peace between the two Talrith clans. Yet, somehow, the humans managed to earn their trust. One evening, as a Talrith chieftain recounted his clan's grievances, a human diplomat named Kara Meta listened attentively. She didn't simply try to reason with him. Instead, she asked about the history and pain behind the conflict, a level of empathy that the Talrith had never encountered in alien diplomats. By the end of the meeting, the chieftain had pledged his clan's trust to the humans, something that astonished the galaxy's diplomatic circles. News of Karameta's success spread rapidly, and other alien societies began to take note. Humans weren't merely survivalists, they possessed an uncanny ability to bond, to empathize with beings completely different from themselves. It was as if they could see something in others that even the others couldn't see. And this empathy made them doubly dangerous. Humanity could turn former enemies into allies, creating coalitions that no power could shatter. The Zentari, a psychic race known for their powerful minds, found humanity's mental resilience a subject of fascination. Used to reading and manipulating the minds of weaker species, the Zentari had come to regard their powers as unstoppable. But when they attempted to use these powers on humans, they met with unexpected resistance. Human minds were labyrinthine, chaotic, filled with a spectrum of emotions that ranged from intense fear to stubborn hope. Zentari psychics reported struggling to read human thoughts. It was as though humanity's very minds were shielded by layers of raw experience and will. In some cases, humans were even able to shut their minds entirely to psychic probing, a feat thought impossible. The Zentari, who relied on mental dominance in warfare, quickly learned to tread carefully with humans, marking them as a high-risk species in their records. This human resilience extended beyond the battlefield and the political arena. It seeped into every facet of their being, shaping how they lived, loved, and even viewed the stars. On Gleiner 4, a desolate planet with an environment so hostile that most species deemed it uninhabitable, a group of human settlers found themselves stranded after their vessel crash-landed. The Glenori, the planet's native inhabitants, had never managed to thrive in their own world, instead retreating to isolated habitats to escape the toxic storms and harsh conditions. Yet within a few years, the humans had carved out a functioning colony, transforming the landscape with bioengineered plants and environmental controls that baffled the Glenori. The humans weren't merely surviving, they were building a future. To the Glenori, it was as if humans had mastered a kind of magic, the ability to wrest life from the most barren soil. When the Glenori attempted to understand how this was possible, they learned something about the human psyche that changed them forever. For humans, hardship was not an obstacle but an opportunity. They did not accept the constraints of their environment, they sought to transform them. This mindset was alien to the Glenori, who had been conditioned by centuries of resignation to accept their planet's harshness. Observing humanity's transformation of Gleiner 4, the Glenori began to see their own world through new eyes. Inspired by their human neighbors, they started building new habitats, repurposing the humans' technology, and adopting their mindset. In time, Gleiner 4 transformed, becoming a symbol of humanity's power to not only survive but to inspire other species to strive for something better. Human technology, too, became a subject of intense study across the galaxy. Unlike other advanced species that adhered to strict design principles, humans were willing to improvise, innovate, and re-engineer on the fly. They viewed technology as a tool to be manipulated rather than as a finished product. During the conflict known as the War of Dusk Prime, humanity's coalition found itself at odds with the Anzari Dominion, a species renowned for its advanced weaponry and cloaking technology. The Anzari, who believed in the sanctity of unalterable design, were horrified when they witnessed humans dismantling and modifying captured Anzari devices to suit their needs. One Anzari commander likened it to watching children rip apart a sacred artifact. Yet, the humans' approach worked. They managed to bypass the Dominion's shields, using jerry-rigged devices to expose vulnerabilities that the Dominion had thought impenetrable. For humans, no technology was beyond understanding, no device so advanced that it couldn't be broken down and reassembled into something new. They saw constraints as challenges, not limitations, a mentality that baffled the Anzari and countless other races. Humans did not view themselves as beholden to the designs or inventions of the past. They were always reaching forward, creating a new future. The Dominion's defeat at Dusk Prime sent shockwaves across the galaxy. Here was a technologically inferior race not only standing against a superior power but actively subverting and repurposing their technology. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. The stories of human engineers, scientists, and resistance fighters spread to the farthest reaches of known space, reinforcing humanity's reputation as a force that could adapt, survive, and thrive under the most impossible conditions. As humanity continued to make its mark on the cosmos, they became a source of inspiration and fear, a paradox that none could unravel. They were compassionate yet fierce, adaptable yet unwavering, and willing to forge alliances even as they fought to remain free. For every empire that dreamed of domination, humanity was a constant reminder that there would always be those who defied control. They did not simply exist, they transformed worlds, they changed minds, and they left an indelible impact on the galaxy. And so, across the stars, humanity is known by many names: the Soul Defenders, the makers of iron worlds, the Alliance Binders. But among those who have faced them in battle, studied their resilience, or been inspired by their courage, there is one title that remains: the most dangerous type of being. Because humans are not just another species. They are a testament to the power of will, the strength of hope, and the unbreakable spirit that refuses to yield. In a galaxy of ancient powers, they are the ultimate wild card, a force that no one, not even the most powerful civilizations, can predict or contain.